Tolerators. This is To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with your hosts, Natalie Katona
and Dina Alcatib.
On this podcast, Dina and I explore some of the impactful relationships we've been having in the world of men. I'm calling it the world of men now because I'm still traumatized by Thanksgiving. Today we are joined by a special guest, Lisa Pearson. She has just released a book called A Victim's, we're crossing that out, Survivor's Diary, Book of Poetry. We're very excited to be talking to her about writing and how it helps us heal. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, ladies.
So happy to have you here.
That's right.
Yay! Me too. You girls are awesome.
All right. So, Lisa, can you give us a brief overview of the new book and how it all came about?
Yeah. My new book is about, I guess I should start with where it came about. Since the show is about all the men we've tolerated before, right?
Exactly.
It was after a really nasty breakup, a horrible breakup 2 years ago. He did a number on me. It was the first guy I allowed back into my life after 5 years.
Right, yeah.
When people have PTSD, which I do, from childhood trauma, abuses of many kinds, when you get hurt in relationships, you don't just feel the pain that person inflicted on you. It opens up the floodgates to everything you've ever felt. Right? Okay? It really does. And it's like it'll knock you down, and you end up reliving everything. And people think, why are you so down just about that relationship? You don't understand. It's not just that. I'm feeling every pain I've ever felt all over again.
I think that is such a good point, because it's like we go through one trauma and we think that we've healed and we've moved on and we've walked forward and all of it. And then a new trauma hits and you just have to reconfigure how that one gets to fit on your trauma shelf and fit into it.
Yes, that's a way to make that observant to people, create a shelf and just, reorganize, organize. And you can never stop reorganizing because new trauma is always hitting you. Right? That's life. And I was laying in bed one day and I was crying, and I had called off work, quote unquote mental health day.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it. I couldn't get up and make myself go to work that day. And I think a lot of ladies can connect and relate when we go through breakups. We do feel that way. And I heard something just tell me to write, get up and write. And I hadn't written since I was 16. I was in my teens when I last wrote. And I wrote a lot then. Mostly it was short stories. I still have my first poem framed in a scrapbook.
Oh, that's cute.
I love that.
And then I got up and I started writing, and I have close to 600 things in my phone's notebook of pieces I've written that I've not quite finished or completed, but I wanted to put a book together that was for. Once I started writing, I realized I wasn't just writing about him and how it broke my heart. What was mostly coming out was the things I had survived as a child and young adolescence. Those things were what seemed to be more revealing to me in my work. And that's how I started healing. The more I wrote, the more confident I became. And that's when I started finding myself. Yeah. And that's what made me realize that I had never healed. That's why I kept picking the wrong men. And that's why, you stay in this cycle of picking this person, and you keep having all these men. They're going to come before another man because you've yet to heal until you find yourself. I found myself through writing. That's what it did for me.
My therapist loves to ask me all the time, do you feel like you've put yourself in the path of yet another narcissist? And I'm like, well, I guess if that... I mean, what are patterns if they're not repetitive? So...
Right?
It's so frustrating when you can't seem to, stop it either.
Or when you think that you've stopped it, And then it's like, aha! You just went to a workplace where every man is a narcissist. And I'm like, I literally just wanted a paycheck.
Girl, you just spoke to me. You so spoke to me on volumes, okay? Because, yes, I went 5 years without a man and thought, okay, I've healed myself. I've put myself back together, little pieces of, tape and glue. And then, boom, and here I am writing about stuff that happened when I was a child. Obviously, I'm picking the same narcissistic other words I'm going to hold back on, men, all because I hadn't healed me, so therefore I hadn't found me. I didn't know me. We need to know ourselves before we are picking our men or our significant other, whomever it is we choose to love and be with.
Exactly.
Just be alone forever. That would also be great.
Yes,
I'm
Dina,
starting to think that's the way to actually do it. Like, I'm thinking that's actually the way we're supposed to do it, is just
say
be
that
alone.
loud again and proud.
Dina, I swear that's usually me. I'm like, don't let anyone in your house. Your house
Literally.
is where you're happy.
Literally, I don't want anybody to disrupt my peace. I'm like, just leave me alone.
I don't want a man to touch my things.
Right. I don't like my things touched. I like my house is my safe space. People are like, you're a homebody, and I really don't know what you're trying to say.
Literally, this is where you don't fuck with me.
Right?
The last time I had a man who would make visits into my bedroom, I would say, don't go near my altar. Because I have, like, my witchy meditation altar. I was like, that's not for you.
Yep.
And don't look at it.
Don't touch anything.
Don't ask me about it.
Don't breathe on it.
Meditation, okay?
Yeah, breathe on it, and then you just, like, spray it with with, like, spray sage. And I'm like, nope, I'm done. God damn it.
Then start, like, fumigating with sage is what you guys do when you touch that shit.
I will tell the tolerators, because usually I'm the one who's like, don't let a man near you, let alone in you. But I'm real obsessed with this stream show called Critical Role about D&D, and the men of Critical Role have somehow given me faith in men again, and now I just realize I have bi guy energy. If you have bi guy energy, then my body is happy to be watching you again. So that's my new type.
Is that supposed to mean like intuitive, insightful men?
No, like one of them, Robbie. I'm just gonna call them by name now. Maybe they'll listen. Robbie.
I'm gonna put you on blast.
He wears a hat that kind of looks like my hat that I wear, my black hat, and he wears guy liner. And he has tattoos, and he makes all of my pirate dreams come back into focus. And I was like, I thought I had gotten over that.
No, never. What?
Never.
We're supposed to get over that?
I thought when Johnny Depp became a bad man, I stopped getting my yayas off of pirates.
Wait, I thought he was not a bad man anymore.
I've decided that they're both bad.
Oh, okay.
I've decided.
I see. Hilarious.
I've decided they're both bad. Then there's Liam. Hi, Liam O'Brien. You are my comfort person. Liam O'Brien only speaks in poems. He only speaks in poems.
Stop it right now. You connect him to my Instagram, please.
He speaks and music plays in my head. And in the first campaign, he and another character are twin brothers and sisters. And the way that he talks to his twin sister that is both caring and loving, but not overbearing or mansplaining or like, I'll kill anyone who touches you. Because he knows that she can also take care of herself. It's called mutual respect.
Yeah.
And his character was attracted to an NPC who also happened to be a man, and all I wanted them to do was kiss. I was like, could someone just make me a cartoon where they kiss? That's all I want. And they did kiss once, and I was like, ew! And then Taliesin will dye his hair purple, and he is like a witchy goth kid that just like never got over it because it's not a phase, and he has bi guy energy too, and that's my new type.
Oh my god!
If I can look at you and be like, you are not heteronormative, then you get to be in this house.
See, I can't handle too much feels, though. When people are too in their feels, men are too much up in their feels, I can't do that.
I find that so surprising because you used poetry, which to me is a very feely medium, to literally heal from your trauma and to really call attention to your sadness and what you had to endure. So when you continuously tell me, but I don't like to feel, and I'm like, but you do because you write it down.
Well, that's the thing. I don't like to feel because I'm so empathetic. I'm overwhelmed by not just my emotions, but people's energies around me all day long. I feel other people's energies. People can knock on that all they want, but it's true. Whatever you're expressing and giving off, I am freaking feeling it. When it's toxic, I just want to go lay down. Like, I feel like I've just ran a marathon. You know, so
Same.
I find that the perfect relationship for me, idealistically, would be someone who's not... I'm not saying don't be open. You need to be open and you need to be communicative when it's necessary. It's not necessary to talk about feelings 24/7. It's really not. So that's what I mean by that. And I just, not all up in your feels 24/7. Like, show me you care about me. Show me you love me. No, that ain't me. I'll write you something. You want me to write you a letter? I'll write you a letter.
And then you can read it to yourself when you're having a moment.
Yes.
What that sounds to me like is you've had a lot of experience with either partners or loved ones where their insecurity, they wanted you to be the Band-Aid for it.
I've been needed to be a food for their need, if I'm saying that correctly, I guess. It's like, constantly reassure me that you love me and you need me, or I don't know that, you're not touchy and feely enough, you don't hug me enough, you don't want to sit by me enough, I don't feel like I'm needed, and I'm just like, okay, have you ever thought about getting outside of your head and getting to know me, the person you are with, right? Get outside of yourself. Ask me why I'm so uncomfortable with constant physical loving touch. Ask me about me. Get to know me.
Exactly. I have told a coworker before that I am continuously a security blanket for insecure men.
Yeah.
Where they're like, if I'll just hang out with her, Miss Creative, Magnetic, and Secure in Herself lady, and because I'm in her peripheral, her light will just like shine on me a little bit, and that'll be good. No,
I'm not about feeding other people. It's about it's just overwhelming for me. If anyone reads anything that I've written, there is so much emotion. I feel deeply. That's why I know that my match is someone who's not going to overwhelm me with so many feelings on a constant basis that they need. Because I have love to give. Trust me, I do. I've endured more pain than a lot of people I know, but that's made me a better person. I am more compassionate. I'm more understanding. And my writing will show that. It shows that to people. There's a reason we survive, and it's so we can help other people. I don't recommend, I'm not saying I recommend suffering for people to be more compassionate. It's just that's my takeaway. That's my silver lining, and that's my light for me. That's how I survived. It made me a better person. I just know that my significant idealistic other that I will one day have, and I know is out there now that I have found myself and my voice, is someone who's not going to be a leech of insecure, unnecessary, just, how do you say it, Natalie? Dina, what's the word? It's like, I just don't want to be that person anymore.
I've been calling it shriveled dick energy, but I'm screwed.
That seems pretty right, honestly. I'm okay with that.
You nailed it.
I am really on one this week. I have been saying things to other women where it's like, I just want to stop being in an area where because I'm smart and talented, their dick shrivels up. Yes, I'm so sorry.
What is that? As soon as you start to speak your mind and speak it intelligently and vibrantly,
they freeze.
You're intimidating. I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm gonna give you the brush off.
So
I'm gonna
stupid.
ghost you. Like, whatever.
Because they have shriveled dick energy. Put it on a t-shirt.
Did we just have an idea? Wait, I plan to come up with a line called Inked Vitality. That's why most of my pages are called Inked Vitality. I wanted to be a women's line of clothing. I'll start with women. Honey, I will put that on there. Shriveled dick energy. I will.
Love that.
Girls will rock that at the gym, right?
It'll just be like, I think it should be like a full sentence.
Yeah.
It should say, like, it seems like you have shriveled dick energy. And then on the back it could say, you might want to see a doctor.
You could give them a pamphlet. Yeah. Look at the doctor's office.
No, like, have it say, like, coming down the arm, I am feeling your ... shriveled dick energy.
A man once asked me why my nipples never got hard for him, and I said that they would have to enjoy what you're doing.
Damn.
They only come out when it's fun.
Are you serious? Did you say that?
I did. I was like, they really only come out when they're having a good time, I believe is
like,
what I said.
Well, the majority of the time, they're lost in the dark, and I don't mean that as a pun, because you're usually...
They're Adele.
Right? But, like, they're usually lost and have no clue what they're doing. Yeah. It's really sad.
I just clued in that you meant men. I thought you meant nipples, and I was going to have Dina make a meme of, like, Adele being my nipples, singing, like, I love you in the dark, or whatever that song is.
Do that! Yes!
Alright, fine.
Do you mean your nipples? I do sometimes feel that my nipples are lost in the dark. That's a great way to put them.
You just needed someone with a light, you know, to find them. That's fine.
Oh my god.
It's fine.
Oh
god.
But speaking of, men writing or talking in poetry.
Mm-hmm. Like Liam O'Brien.
Like, with my book, what I've endured is I'm okay. Like, I love to read men's work of poetry, but when they inbox me, direct message me, what they call quote unquote poetry, they're trying to like engage me in some sort of this is me letting you know I want you kind of poetry. Girl, I share that with my big brother, and we can laugh for days. Like, I'm like, what in the hell? And it don't even make sense. It don't go together. They're just throwing a bunch of stuff, like, romanticized stuff in there, and I'm just like, ugh, ugh. Like, do we have a vomit sound? Like, we can just...
Is it like a weird way to try and pick you up or something? Like, what is this?
That's what they're doing, and
that's gross.
It's really gross. I, for a
Yeah.
long time, had to take away what I wanted on my actual profile just to write DMs for creative works only.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because I had so many men writing me, even men who knew nothing about literature or poetry or grammar or anything, I'm not kidding, trying to write me lines of poetry. I was just like, this isn't even like grammatically correct in any kind of way. It was awful. So I've had to endure that since I started writing. That was something new I didn't expect to happen. And I had to put so many on Facebook too, right? Mm-hmm. Because I have a Facebook Ink Vitality page connected to my Instagram. I had to mute all messengers, like all messengers, because it was just ridiculous. I was like, I'm not here for that. I'm here to network. If you want to talk about literature in an educative way, I will talk about that with you, and I will connect with you that way. But I will not talk with you like this. Like, you actually need some sort of help. Like,
God damn it. I talked when we were on Going Hollywood. I was listening to the book Crazy Rich Asians, and we were talking about the movie, and I was like, I didn't realize that Crazy Rich Asians was written by a man because of how, like, voluptuous
you
and,
wouldn't
like,
think it is.
right.
Okay.
And, like, beautiful that movie is. And I was like, but then I read it, and I was like, and the way that men will write women. Like, there's literally...
my God. Can they stop writing women? Really?
There's literally a line about, like, Pele or Pigle. I can't say her name. And I'm really bad at character names anyways, because I literally just cannot. And so they were like, despite her pointed nose and prominent features, or like pointed features and prominent nose, she did garnish the attention of those around her. I was like, well, thank God.
Well, thank God that happened for you and all the others. They need to stop writing women. They really do, because that's what's wrong with the views on women in society. That's why so many people get slapped in the face with insecurities that don't exist, because men keep writing us the way they want to see us.
Can you go into, because I want to focus on your book so people get jazzed to buy it, could you go into some of the themes and some of the things that your book helped you heal from and could help other people heal from?
Yeah, it helped me a great deal with my PTSD and depression that I didn't even realize was still such a weight in my life. Like, I really didn't until I started writing. I didn't realize what I was grieving from that breakup was my past and not that breakup. It made me see so much. The writing opened up this door inside of me that said, here's a mirror. Look at yourself. My writing ended up being more about me than what, even though my book is about, and when we say victims, I do mean X that out, because I want women as well as men who've had trauma, because men are less likely to speak about it.
Right.
And it happens to them too. To know that they can survive. There is a silver lining. Find it, and find your power, and find your voice in it, because there is a way to survive it. And statistically, more often than none, what I've endured, those people are lost to substance abuse or suicide. They don't make it to their 30s, so I count myself lucky. My book speaks, in a lot of my pieces, it'll mention faith, and I'll start with God and speaking to God. When I'm doing that, I don't mean to everyone that's the only thing that works. We all have faith in something, right? So we can all make light out of whatever it is our faith is in, and try to find a way to tie that to our pain to help pull us into the light and just pull us out of it, so we can see ourselves and put ourselves back together again. Because I didn't realize how broken I was. I had no clue I was that broken.
Yeah.
And I was really, really broken when I started writing. I was crying while I wrote most of my pieces, and I would have to take breaks and still cry for a little bit and get it out over whatever memory it was I was reliving. So just the PTSD and depression, it's an oppression on our innocence that is inflicted on us by those who victimize us. It is up to us whether we carry that victimization or else we take that back. We take that from them. Say, no, you don't have that over me. Like, I survived what you did to me. That's your shame. That's not mine.
Right. Hurt people.
Yes. And that's why, I'm not ashamed of what I've written. There are people in my life that are afraid to share what I've written because it's a topic society deems shameable and untalkable. I don't. I'm not afraid. Like, it's out there and it's real. And there's a reason that statistic is so high for suicide and depression and substance abuse. And it's because people do not let their loved ones talk about it. Hide that. No one can know our family is tied to that. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you go to the doctor, say so and so, whatever, someone else did it. We don't know, etc., etc. They teach us it's shameful, and they make us feel like it's our shame, and it's not. That's what my book is about. It's about liberation. Liberation to the extent of, like, that sigh you just did. It's a sigh, and the goosebumps and the weight is gone because you've realized, oh my God, I want to reach out and hug myself as if I'm standing in front of myself. That person in the mirror is someone I can hug and say, you are loved. That's what my book is about. When someone loves themselves in spite of all of their pain, because it's not their shame. It's not.
Yeah.
And do you think your book can help somebody, you know, who was where you were, you know, before you found all that out?
I do. Yeah. Because it's, even though this book isn't the novel I intend to write with all the details, you know, poem, I wanted to start with poetry because I write so much better in a figurative language than I do literal, because like we touched base before, that connection with actual feels is difficult for me. It's difficult for me because I feel so much. And so I decided to write subjectively, because that can someone can read a piece that means something to me that might mean they might take in other words, and it'll mean something completely different to them, and it touches them in such a way that it's empowering. And I know that that's true because I get messages about how, like, they're crying after they just read something because they just realize that they're not alone and it's okay, and thank you for saying what you said. We didn't know anyone would be brave enough to speak out about that. I'm glad to know I'm not alone. I know my words help because I'm told my words help. And that's what I wanted more than anything, not to write and sell a book, to help people not be so burdened for so long mentally with PTSD and depression on our innocence, so that way we're left unconnected through life because we can't connect with our innocence any longer because it was stolen from us.
I feel that because I was just sharing with a group that I practice what people would call my faith, but my witchiness, that, like, I have just felt really untethered from my pre-COVID identity. And it's like I keep getting these little pockets of reminders about how I don't get to be that girl anymore because of everything that's happened for the past 2 years. The holidays was like a big reminder for me, where it's like, oh wow, I had some like real tangible consequences from the pandemic with unemployment and uncertainty and things like that. But I also had a lot of time for self-reflection, and it's unfair for me to believe that people would understand that, or that I would be walking into spaces where people would be talking about that.
Yeah, no, COVID, I'm what you would call a extroverted introvert, right? So whenever we're kept inside for too long, that can get to us because we're always in our heads anyway, especially with thought, especially, that's hard on writers. Even though we're kind of lonesome people anyway, we need to get out there and be extroverted and be our bigger personalities for the majority of the time. And COVID has really slammed the door on that. It's really made you see yourself in a different way and adapt to the world that we're in now. It's really, it's secluded.
It's so secluded.
Is.
That's how I truly feel when I go places where I'm like, I feel like holidays. Like, you're like, okay, I am reuniting with people who love me. This will be great.
Will it though? Will it?
And then you go and it's also kind of a shock to them because you're no longer the girl that they knew. And you're just refiguring out these relationships. Have you had to refigure out any relationships after you've healed, my counselor loves to talk to me about, like, well, how does this relationship change or serve you now that you've healed?
That is an amazing question. I'm glad you asked that, because that's kind of like a slap in the face of reality for me, that question is, because it made me realize also some of my friendships were not the best for me. After
Right.
I started writing and started healing and started finding my platform, which was, don't be afraid and don't hide and let people, use you as a doormat anymore. You don't have to always say you're wrong so that they can feel better. You
Right.
don't have to hide anymore, right? I started realizing that some of the friendships I was in was not right for me. It wasn't right for me. They were making me feel belittled and talking horribly to me in ways that no one should ever accept, but it was something I had accepted because it's how I was abused my entire childhood. It was a classical conditioning that I didn't classically condition myself out of until I started writing and looking at all of those mirrors and reevaluating who I was when I was their victim, which I no longer am.
What is your tolerance level at when you meet a new person and they want to play the old games that you used to play?
Oh, it's actually very, very minimal now.
Yeah,
it's
that was my point too. I
like
cannot do it.
It's like a crumb, like the lightest little touch of lint. Honestly, I get one red flag as and
You're out.
Just did it, girl.
Bye.
Like lightning
I got a
flash.
dart.
It flash.
Yep.
Yes. And then as far as other relationships, any relationship in my life, I get we all curse. I curse like a sailor sometimes. It's usually more so the more I'm stressed out. But I never direct that at a person. I don't talk to people that way. I am very kind. I talk to people very kind and very generous and very thoughtful and open-minded of what is it they are feeling right now? What is their body language saying to me? How can I help them feel better in this moment while we're conversing? And the first moment someone cusses at me in a really nasty way or talks at me in that snap girl attitude that some people can do, I say, okay, and that's the end. I'm done. This relationship will no longer go forward. I don't deserve that. I do not speak to my friends that way. Friends should not speak to one another that way. No one should speak to one another that way. And I'm the same way in a relationship. If you're going to yell, we can wait until you've calmed down and you can speak to me. Or there's the door. That's where I've come full circle. Before, I would just let people beat me like I was the dirt under the mat. Like, it was horrible. And
it's about loving yourself, yeah.
I learned to love myself through writing my pain. Yeah. And I get emotional when I say that because it's like this book, this 40 pages, right, is nowhere near all of the pain I've written, and I can't wait till I write my novel so I can help more people that way. It chokes me up because I found strength through what always buried me.
That's a good line.
T-shirt.
What kept me down and what stomped me down and made me so little so everyone else was so big and bright. I made sure everyone else was okay around me. And I stayed this tiny little voice. I found me through writing all of that. That was my mirror. That pain was my mirror.
It's beautiful.
What makes poetry your go-to medium? Like, what do you enjoy about poetry that draws you to poetry or writing in general?
Well, regular literary writing can be well basically it's non-subjective, and with poetry we can elaborate and emphasize in ways that we can't in our literary dictations. write my novel, it's going to be so long, right?
Right.
Really, really big. With my poetry, I can minimize like 100 pounds of emotions into 2 paragraphs by just using words that hold so much feeling and impact, where it's like they just hit you and you feel them, because it was like a ball just hit your chest and hit your heart, and it's either something that lifted you up out of the water or plundered you into the water. Mm-hmm. That's what I love about poetry. We use words in poetry that make people feel something literary dictation won't. Yeah. Because it's heavier, right?
Mm-hmm. I think with poetry, because it can be stunted isn't the word that I want to, succinct. People can fill in more of themselves to it. Mm-hmm. Like, when I read narrative pieces, there's so much that is spelled out for you. But with poetry, like you said, I've taken years of my life and made it 40 pages.
Right.
So that allows me, as your audience member, to sit there and also put a little bit of myself into it.
Yeah, because my words are... even though each piece in my mind while I was writing it was a story of anguishing pain or burdensome horror and terror that I endured. I endured every abuse you can imagine. I've endured them. So in my poetry, and I'm going to get emotional, that's where I let that go. Yeah. It's where my novel is going to take me so much longer to write, because I have to write it in like long detail. Mm. That's a little harder to do, right?
Right.
Even though I've done this and I've wrote this and it showed me who I am and it made me okay with all the pain. Okay, like that's who I am. I feel like a beautiful person, because all I want to do now is help others know how beautiful they are, even though and I hate saying even though, but
right.
People who have endured these kinds of pains, they don't see themselves as beautiful anymore. Oh. And it's such a long road to see that. And that's all I want to do for people. That's all I want to do.
Did you have a hard time putting yourself out there and being vulnerable when you first started this process? Like, being okay with,
I was scared.
Strangers seeing that?
I was scared. When I first started writing, I started on Instagram in a writing community, and I started with just little micro poems or poems about heartbreak, stuff that people openly relate to with no problem and no hesitation, right? Mm-hmm. It took me a little bit longer, and I was a little hesitant before I started releasing my deeper pieces. And it unbeknownst to me, it was my deeper pieces that caught the bigger audience. Like, those deeper, scarred pieces are what made people say, oh my God, you just touched me and made me realize I'm not alone. Yeah. There are so many people out there that need to know there are other voices like theirs. So it did take me a long time, and it takes anyone who's endured what I endured a long time. And that is because of what I mentioned before, the shame aspect of society. Mm-hmm. Society suffocates us in shame when it is not our shame.
Especially women.
Especially women. Especially women. So when society is doing that, they don't understand what they're stealing from women. They're stealing our voice, and they're stealing our power. They're stealing our emotions. They're stealing our being. And that, the more I started writing, the more I started realizing that, and the angrier I got at society. Not the people who implemented their sickness on me, right?
Right.
Like,
the society that didn't let those people have the room to heal before they hurt me.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. World. That's why I was also worried my book wouldn't, reach as much as it needed to reach, just because I'm not a man. If you look at the the majority of top sellers, it's mostly men.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of top sellers as women who write faith-based books, but or children's books, but not just, poetry. Or with poetry, the majority of well-known writers is men.
That's so
It's
funny.
not many women.
Because when I'm naming poets in my head, like, let's pretend I'm well-read. And it's like Maya Angelou. Like, I can really only pull out women. Why? Because I refuse to live in the male narrative.
Yeah. Also because we have this podcast. I mean,
yes, also because...
But speaking of Maya Angelou, I love her. I love her. Talk about profound micropoetry. Like, she has very profound one sentence lines, that just, they hit you, right?
I love the one sentence lines that hit you. They're the best.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, when it comes to women, because this is where I'm moving the podcast to, where it's like women's place in the community that we're talking about. So to say that most of the successful people who are making top charts in poetry and stuff are men, like, that's important to note too, because as a woman, what is my place in this community, and is it respected? As a person who doesn't identify as male, what is my place here? And you come to find it's very tiny.
Well, and that's where, whenever you say, as a woman in this community, because I have so many writing communities that I'm a part of, because I have so many platforms, right? Instagram, I have my own Facebook page separate from my regular Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. And then I have Twitter, and I don't think women are respected in the way that men are, because the messages I get, even from authors, are just trying to get with me kind of stuff. Like, it has nothing to do with appreciation for my rights, my works, or what I'm trying to do. It's so very gross. It's degrading, and it's disgusting, and it's hurtful. And I try really hard as someone who, it's really hard for people who's been a victim in their past to take on that kind of hit. I'm not sure how to word it. When someone insults your character and what you're trying to do with your life by undermining you and then just messaging you, like,
I think it's like disrespectful.
It's really hard to tolerate disrespect and not be offended, like, where we start tearing ourselves apart. And I'm like, what did I do to deserve someone to message me like that and not be respectful?
Well, because it's objectifying.
Yes.
Like, instead of seeing me as a peer or an author or a creative person who is literally presenting you my soul, you saw a hole to put your dick in. So wonderful for you.
Do you feel like you have to, like, work harder than your male, counterparts or whoever to be taken seriously in your field?
I really do. I actually have to be cautious of how I respond to my male counterparts in my writing community as well, because I'm a woman who uses words of endearment quite often, just in normal dialect, right? Like, honey, dear, sweetheart, thank you kindly. Like, I'm very endearing. It's who I am, but I've learned that I've had to watch that. That's even a trigger for them to think, oh, I can run to DMs.
Oh, yeah. Everything's an invitation.
Like, we have to watch every little thing that we could say, or even just one grammatical apostrophe or semicolon, to suggest
it's like they're looking for one tiny thing to, like, jump on and be sleazy and gross. Like,
Dina and I made a point on the first episode because we did crushes, And we made a point, like, I made a point to say, I was like, hello, men of my past. This is not your invitation to show back up.
No.
Yeah. Right?
We don't want that.
Please RSVP no to my party because you were not invited and we don't know how you got here.
No. Yeah, I know. I just, it's not like I hate men. I don't. Right. I would love to find a significant other. I would love to have that other part of me that I have an aunt who would love more than anything for me to find a companion in life. You know, that's her wording, and I think that's the perfect wording, a companion, right? Someone who's your best friend. I want a best friend. I do. I just don't want someone who needs me to build them up while I stay way down here.
Yeah.
Like, can we be each other's partner? Can we build one another up? Can we be there for each other? Can we climb those ladders at the same time? I feel like what I want is out of reach. Because it's like non-existent, because men are always, the men that I've dealt with. Mm-hmm. But let's keep in mind, I have not dated since my last breakup or since I have found myself, like dated, like actually relationship with anyone in potential since I actually found myself that where it would actually lead somewhere.
And look at me, tolerators, even coming around back to men. It's only 3 men, and they're on a YouTube show. But it's a start. Good on you, men of Critical Role.
There are good men out there. It's just hard to find them in Ohio.
The 3 men of Critical Role. I told you 3. There's 3 whole good ones.
Those are the 3 whole good men that you know.
Do you know a new phenomenon in my brain? My therapist calls it the toilet flush, where it's like one bad thing. I will have one bad interaction, and then I will flush everyone down that toilet. Mm-hmm. And I have to retrain myself. Like, I have to have, like, a traumatic event, like a triggering episode. And then I have to, like, feel the things, and I have to hate and destroy everyone in my brain. And then I have to spend days reminding myself, all right, this is why this person is actually a person who cares about me. And just because a person adjacent to them hurt me, that doesn't mean that they hurt me.
That is the biggest realization for, you know, and I want to circle back to the whole PTSD scope. It can be really significant and large to the trauma that I endured, or it could just be significant in relevance to the way we've been treated in a relationship, right? By a man, which is usually for women, our triggers are when we've been extremely disrespected and unheard, you know, and had that unrequited, like, attention and love. Then we get with someone else and they do something, we're reliving what we felt with someone else and we're placing that on them. And that's not fair. That's not fair at all. We can't do that. No. We shouldn't do that.
Guilty. 100% guilty of doing that.
Yes. Women, we do that.
Yes.
That's where we have to catch ourselves and, like, hey, whoa, they are.
What's today? Wednesday? Today is Thursday. Good God, I never know what day it is.
Honey, it's COVID life. It's COVID life. Who needs to know what day it is?
Time is meaningless.
So, I did that 5 days ago. Like, someone else was irritating. And then I was like, I will take everything hurtful that you've just said to me, and I will make it apply to everyone you are related to.
Yes. Or have we all caught ourselves saying, I hate men?
Oh.
Oh my God. When have I not said that? What day have I not said that?
Honestly, I knew I couldn't.
It's not all men.
I knew I couldn't name the podcast to all the men I've hated before. So what's that term? What's that term where it's like you didn't really love them, but you weren't really happy?
The problem is like, because we're like, if we have unresolved trauma, we're drawn to the same thing, and then it can feel like every person is the same. Like, every guy is the same. And
Dina.
so then you just start applying it to all men. They're all going to be like this because that's all you've ever known. But realistically, you're drawn to it.
Talk about a hammer on a nail, honey. You really hit that. That is what we do. We tend to, that's what, my writing helped me with. It helped me see that it wasn't so much as the repetitive next man's fault, right? It was me for not getting in touch with me. I kept going to my norm. What felt normal, right? What felt normal? What was normal to me was always being abused.
Right.
Always made to be belittled, always made to feel like I need to go out of my way to make them feel extra special and extra loved when I wasn't getting anything in return, right? So you nailed that on the head when you said that, because it's something, it's a cycle that we get in, because what's normal to us is what we grew up around.
Right.
What I grew up around was horrible abuses. Mm-hmm. I mean, every abuse you can think of or imagine, I've endured. And my works kind of elaborate on that. So it would make sense that I chose men that would make me feel less than them, right? Like, my last ex actually told me to, quote unquote, look at him and look at me, and I should feel lucky to be with him because...
Oh my... Blech! I hate him.
Yeah, like, I mean, and I took that. I just stood there and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go sleep in the other room. I don't know what's wrong with you. Why I didn't say goodbye that night is still beyond me, other than the fact that I still hadn't found myself, I guess, right? But I took it. I was like,
yeah.
Okay. And then every time I looked in the mirror, I was like, look at me and look at him. Like, I kept doing that for days. Like, that's not normal, and that's not healthy, and that's not okay. It's something we do when we're used to abuse and we're used to a certain set of circumstance in life. So, props to you for nailing that on the head, honey. That's a good way to wake people up. Recognize your cycle.
I will not.
I choose to remain
I choose to remain stabby.
Before we go into manifestations and stuff, I'd love to hear one of your poems, if you don't mind.
Oh, yes. I know we're re-recording, but...
Don't worry, I got goldfish memory. So
let's see. I couldn't make up my mind tonight. I was like, what should I read? Should I read A Shedding or Dead Grass? I'm not sure.
Ooh, Dead Grass sounds interesting.
Right? Dead Grass. Dead Grass. It's a shorter one. Okay? It's shorter than Shedding. My afflicted heart lay beating in the thirst of dead grass. Gold tones, drinking spillage laced with truths. The rolling heels of this capricious field echo reticent love sounds that gloss the air with hymns of agony. Clearing skies reveal my wounds for rays to fossilize creation's damned. A war leaving behind only pale, bereaving shadow. And here I thought a battle was nothing new. Dead grass.
A battle was nothing new. I love when we use nature to describe how we're feeling.
Oh, I'm obsessed with nature.
Oh, yeah.
Hiking is one of my most loved hobbies, and I love just being out there. I feel like when I'm in nature, I'm not suffocating. Mm-hmm. Even though home is my safe space, I still don't feel like I get to breathe the way I need to breathe from what's been inflicted upon me, right?
Yeah. I went hiking with people who like to conquer hiking, which is not my idea of hiking. I like to stand in the middle of the hike and just like touch things. Like, so these people are like elbows to ears, like, oh, we are hiking. We are so strong and fit people. And I'm like, have you all ever touched moss? And they're like, excuse me? And I'm like, I'm a druid. Have you ever touched moss? Because it's very soothing. And it's kind of cold, but also really soft.
And I'm over here just like dreaming of being a rock.
Right,
That's my relaxation.
I hope you get moss to grow.
Are we not rocks?
That would be nice, actually.
Are we not rocks rolling through life? We are boulders being pushed uphill and being thrown downhill.
If I was a rock, I wouldn't have to work. That's all I'm saying.
That would be great, Dina. I'm totally with you.
And honestly, that's all I want. I want to stop working.
I eventually want to just write and not clock in that 9-to-5 job. It's like being a gerbil in a wheel.
And I just hit my head on the glass like that I almost said duck. It's a penguin. In Happy Feet.
Can you imagine a duck out there in the Antarctica?
When that penguin just started smashing its head against the zoo cage in Happy Feet, I was like, I have felt that.
I don't remember that.
It was traumatizing.
Happy Feet.
I'm gonna have to go watch it again.
Happy Feet got traumatic when they captured him. I mean, that was a little.
I went into Happy Feet thinking that it would be a cool 75 minutes of just watching penguins dance. And that's what I wanted.
That was probably 40%.
Have you watched Mr. Popper's Penguins with Jim Carrey?
No, I need to because they
Oh my god. Please watch that one. Okay. If you like Happy Feet and you love penguins, watch Mr. Popper's Penguins because literally that one's great.
I told my mom, I was an adult and we took my younger cousins. I told my mom, I was like, that is not at all what I wanted. I didn't want a message.
I just wanted dancing penguins.
I didn't want to understand capitalism and be like, I've been that penguin just hitting my head on the glass, wondering if I was going to escape. I wanted to watch them do really elaborate break dances. I don't know.
I think I do want to read the one that my book starts with because it's the one that
encompasses all of it.
Encompasses everything. I think my publishing company did really great whenever I gave them my manuscript to pick the one that should go first.
As a poet,
liberation.
Now I'm just asking you for editorial advice, I guess. Now I'm just being inappropriate. And as a poet, do you feel like when you're doing a collection, should the one that encompasses everything that you're going to be thematically expressing, should that be at the first one or should that be the end one that ties it all together in a bow?
Well, they can be both.
Okay.
I feel like it should be both. The one at if you're telling the story, for instance, I have over 600 pieces, right?
Right.
But each of them are different subjects.
Yeah.
Different subjective subjects. When you put them that way. So whenever I put them together, I'm going to want to their bindings will be, you're going to want to start with what it's about, and you're going to want to end with what ties it all up as well. You're going to want to sandwich it. Does that make sense? With poetry, you want to sandwich it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say the lesser pieces. They all have meaning.
Right.
Yeah. But you want to start with what is going to show you what you're about to get into, and you want to end with something that's going to leave an impression. Right?
All right.
Yeah. So,
please do read Liberation then.
Well, it's a shedding.
Oh, a shedding?
Yes. That one's this is my one that's, when I wrote this one, I had just finished reading, I think I was reading John in the Bible that morning, drinking my coffee, and I was like, I'm gonna turn some music on, and I'm just gonna write about liberation, because that's what I'm feeling today. I was happy, right? I was feeling happy. I wasn't feeling weighted. So, a shedding. Kneeling, I sink my feeble knees into the spongy stretch of clay that is my brokenness. Looking down at the vast march of despair, my vision is sharpened by the chill of oppression, an ending of myself. I will inundate a downpour of tears drenching this already sodden soil with the darkness that floods my being. A body, a mind, a spirit, ravaged and violated by evil sins. Today will peel from its bones the ominous mass of acclivities. Standing, I print with the soles of my feet the chaos and deformities that bound and proportioned my raped, beaten, and sodomized soul. A life stormed by man's moral failures, the most grievous damnations, I'll shed with every strengthening step of liberation. Shed. Yes. That one, I think that's my most tied in a bow piece, as Natalie put it, because that one is one that I got multiple replies by from victims crying.
Yeah.
Letting me know that it made them feel so much they were crying. Mm-hmm. And then it made me cry, and I talked for hours with them till I knew they were okay.
That was so kind of you.
They just wanted to know they weren't alone, and that's all I wanted. I want people to know they're not alone, and I'm not afraid to speak. If they don't want to speak, I will speak for them. Mm-hmm. Whatever they need me to be there for them, I will be there for them till they're ready. They're stepping stones, and there are so many hurting people out there, and they need help to find their liberation. If not, they are lost to that statistic of substance abuse and, God forbid, suicide. But it's real. It is a very real thing happening in our society. Sad. So my book is a bit deep.
A little bit.
A
little bit.
Yes, and that's just the subjective views. Wait till you read novel, girls, right? When that's really detailed.
I can't wait to read that.
I can't wait. So we end every episode with our two little traditions where we do a big takeaway of what our journey with the theme of the episode has taught us about life. So you would talk about writing the book and processing your trauma through writing, and then you would then make a hope and a manifestation for either society, yourself, the men that you have tolerated, any of the above.
Oh, I can bundle all of that, darling. Let's see. Tied together, my manifestation is hope. That one word can say so much, can't it? Right? It's hope for our present and our future. And that when we look back on our past, we don't just throw ourselves back in a PTSD moment anymore. We see ourselves through strength instead of that victim who didn't know who we were because someone stole our image, right? So it's hope for me and hope for the future, for my book and what I did writing this. It's powerful, and it's scary for some people to admit that that's real in life. Yeah. And I want to bring it to light, because if I don't, we will statistically lose more to suicide and substance abuse because they're afraid to speak. So it's to bring awareness to society and hope that society will open up their arms more and embrace these people who are suffering in silence and not talking when it's killing them inside. I don't want that anymore. I want to help people liberate their pain in a way that is so significant to them that they find a new future and a new path that isn't just soddened by their torments. I want people to find my pain as a beacon of light for them to heal. That's what I want.
That's beautiful. Is there one overarching lesson that you've learned through writing the book?
Yes. The main lesson I've learned is know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We will only take on more pain when we aren't one with ourselves. And that's not meant to sound cryptic. It's the you that is right here and the you that you see in the mirror that sees all of the yous that's lived until this moment. When you can hug that and hold that embracingly, whether it is crying, or smiling, joyful or painful, no matter what it is, when you can embrace all of you, just know you. And then that's whenever you're going to be able to let in the brightest lights of your life that are to come. That's my biggest lesson. Everything has been so much more colorful since I wrote this book. Because I
love that. It's like the Kesha song Rainbow, where she's like, my colors came back. Listen.
I love her. I know that song. I think it's on one of my playlists.
Mm-hmm. Kesha is who I pray to. So.
I love her. She's so happy. She's all about women empowerment. Yes.
She truly is. I'm in love with Kesha. Like, I want to become friends with Whitney Cummings because she had Kesha over for Thanksgiving, and I would like to sit next to Kesha at Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh. I would too.
So, that's where I'm at. But yeah, it's like, now I'm not going to rate. It's like, let your rainbow. I'm not going to sing it. Dina, what's your takeaway of manifestation?
So, I think my biggest takeaway from this episode is that Lisa looks really Casper on video.
Wow. I'm just kidding. I can't figure this out. I keep looking and I'm like, why do I look so Casper?
You went this entire episode without putting yourself down. And at the very end, you were like, I'm a ghost.
No. Honey, if I'm a ghost, I am haunting. I am haunting with power.
And we have to address it. You went an entire hour with being like, I am talented, I have processed, I have healed. And then at the 11th hour, you went, and I am also too pale. What?
Well, you would think this is in black and white. It's not. It's not. That is color.
All right.
Okay, Dina, your turn.
Sorry. Like, I actually do have feelings.
No, I was smiling. It's hard to
No, I'm saying that you're
see
like,
I
actually do feel something for this episode, and I'd like to express it.
So I think the biggest takeaway was that it doesn't matter when you choose to take hold of your journey and to process, your trauma and start loving yourself. It's a long journey, as Lisa said, and it doesn't matter when you start. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter how long or how many times you stumble along the way, or it's going to be hard some days, and some days it'll feel easier. But I think all that matters is that you did start and that you continue to try, so that you don't become one of those statistics. And for my manifestation, I just want to, put out there that I hope more people find your work and your art and are able to empathize with it and connect with it, and that helps them, start their own journey.
So. That's beautiful. It really was. I'm so glad it wasn't that Lisa is as pale as a ghost.
I mean, I can't say anything. I'm like literally the whitest Arab on earth, so I don't know.
To the point, because I used to not know Dina's last name. To the point.
I can't say it.
Well,
Neither can I. So,
so most people, like, I just kind of Americanize it so people can say it. So I say so I say Al-Khatib. If we're being realistic, it's El Khatib, but, I'm not going to go around.
I said it successfully once.
Yeah, I would pronounce it the first way you said it. Very Americanized.
Which is fine. Perfectly
very
fine.
Americanized. You're right.
Nothing wrong with that.
One time when Dina announced, like when she proclaimed to me or mentioned that was where her mother was from, that she is Arab, I went, what?
I wouldn't.
She goes, I'm just really white.
This is a face of confusion. This is a face of confusion.
Yes.
You're right, the way you described yourself.
I'm actually, I'm full-blooded Palestinian. Like, I wasn't born here. I'm first generation.
She's first generation.
So, I was born in Qatar, so I came here to the U.S. when I was 3.
First generation. I would not think it for nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I've been here since I was 3.
Yeah.
I have the features. I'm just extremely pale. I just am extremely
pale. That's one of those things, again, when we speak of society and the way it views things, it inflicts prejudices in the way we think and subjugate people.
Yep.
The way we fit
100%.
them into these little tiny boxes. Or we wouldn't even think, oh, there's no way.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, my grandma is just as pale as I am, and she's got, red hair. I'm like, what happened? She lives in Jordan. She is the most,
That's one of those...
She barely knows English.
That's one of those genetic anomalies that's very rare. That red hair, it's a gorgeous thing, and it's rare. It's a genetic thing. I love it. Hence me coloring my blonde hair red. Love it!
So my big takeaway, I think, is that at the end of the day, you have to commit to what it is that is going to heal you, even when it's hard. Like you kept talking about how you would have to walk away from it and you would have to process it. And I think about myself and all of the ways that I allow myself to slack off on the things that I know will make it better. Because it does just get so exhausting to hold it together or to be healing or to move forward.
Feeling is exhausting, you're right, Natalie. Mm-hmm. It is very exhausting, and that's why we walk away.
Mm-hmm. So I think another takeaway could be the balancing of the resting and the moving forward, because you do get to do both, because everything is a balance act. And I think my manifestation is for anyone out there who is feeling either untethered from their reality, their identity, things that have happened to them, and you're still just kind of floating in it. I hope that Lisa and her book inspire you to find what's going to ground you. Because I've recently started meditating again, and to finally feel like I'm at home with myself again after ignoring all of the things that I needed to do to keep myself safe. I just hope that you're inspired to do that too.
That's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
It's all about feeling one with ourselves.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
The only person you truly have to live with is yourself.
And like Dina said, she said no matter how long it takes, again, hammering the nail. She really nails things on the head. I'm 39. Mm-hmm. That's my first book. Yeah. I'm just now finding myself. Of course, it was a 2-year process, right? Mm-hmm. My late 30s. But again, no matter how long it takes, don't stop trying to find yourself. It may take a while to figure out what it is that makes you you, mm-hmm. but that is out there, and it's a piece you will find if you just keep exploring.
Right.
Don't give up.
Let yourself rest, but also keep the goal in sight.
Yeah.
All right, so now I want you to tell everyone where they can find your book, You can plug any writing groups that you would hope that more positive people find you in, or any of your social medias and things like that.
Okay, then. Let's advertise. I am at inkedvitality.com on Twitter, and Miss Marie Lee on Instagram, and at Payne's Creation, Facebook.com, and creativeminds.com.
Awesome.
Is a group on Facebook. It's subrogation to my Payne's Creation page, which I would love more engaging processes with other people. It's just really hard to get that, but I still keep plugging away and putting things on there. And soon to come from me is a clothing line that's called Inked Vitality, which is words are life. Vitality is life, right? Inked, that's words. Like, breathe life. And I want a clothing line that does that. And I'm going to start with women. It's not to undermine men. I know y'all want it too. And it's going to be hot. Everyone's going to want to wear it. So that's why Inked Vitality is the dominant name of most of my pages. So, because there's an end game in sight, girls. End game.
End game. And it is to leave our day jobs.
Yes!
I just literally keep saying it, so I will do it.
So we have to keep saying it to ourselves, so we do it, right? Like, shh, shh, shh.
And then where can they all find the book?
My book, A Victim, and we're going to slash victims out with the, like, you're taking your red lipstick, girls, and you're just Xing that shit. X victims with red lipstick. Survivor's Diary book of poetry can be found anywhere. Let's see. Amazon has it on paperback. My publishing company is still struggling and a little tied up with ebook releases, but that is being done, and I am nationwide. That's why I've also went ahead and offered my author's autobiography and What About on Amazon in multiple different languages, so that way people can do that. I am also going to pay Audible to dialect my book in multiple languages so that it reaches more people, because I know women in other countries endure just what we endure here, if not worse. And Target.com, Barnes & Noble, and it's on BookHub or
I believe I get those emails.
Yeah, BookHub, and it's on Goodreads. They just don't have my cover updated yet. They just keep saying that they're backlogged with so many releases, and they're trying to get me out by Christmas. So hopefully I'll be ebook ready by then, but soon it will be everywhere.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. I think that's like such a big gratifying moment where it's like, I've made a thing, and now I get to watch where it goes.
Watch it bloom. But right now I feel like I'm stuck in this like stagnant position. Like, I'm excited, yes, but when can I bloom? Yeah. When can I burst? When will you release me on ebook? That way I can jump and do, jumping jacks and cartwheels, and I will do them. Right?
I'm gonna do our quick rundown. So we are To All the Men I've Tolerated Before. If you want to have fun with us on Instagram, that's at Men I've Tolerated Pod. Oh my God, where's my outline? Jesus. Natalie K124 is the TikTok and my personal Instagram. Come have fun with me on TikTok and answer the questions that I pose, because this is a dialogue for you as well. We want to hear your views. We want to hear what you think, and we want to hear what you're experiencing, because that's how we can support you the best. And then you can always email us questions or anything at menI'veToleratedBefore@gmail.com. And that's been it for this episode. And remember, tolerators, well, first off, God damn it, I've lost all of I'm just like really crude this week. I am in a very like, crude, and I cannot be polite headspace. Am I trying? I don't even feel like I'm trying. All right.
You did. That's right.
I wanted to thank you so much, Lisa, for giving your time not only once but twice, because we did have to re-record this episode. And thank you so much for just being so open and honest about your work and your healing process, because the more honest we are about our healing process, the more people can realize, oh, anything that's more positive than negative can heal me.
Yes. Yes. You laid that out with beautiful insight, so that way they can understand it. Thank you.
I'd hope so.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. Really, you girls are great. I've listened to your other shows. You reach so many topics. People have no clue. It doesn't just go into all the men you've tolerated before.
No.
You reach boundless topics for women, and that's important for a woman's society.
Yep. We just really... I wrote it in a pitch email today. It's like, the goal of this podcast is to put women's voices forward, because too long have I just watched women swallow what it is they need to say.
Mm-hmm. Preach it louder and louder. Can I just hold up one of those speakers and you just scream it? Yes. Yes.
So, my maternal grandmother, my mother, and I have the same thing that we do, where it'll be like, we'll have a strong emotion and we make the same noise to choke it back. So, like, I wrote an entire poem on, like, how we silence ourselves with that tick. So, yeah.
I'd like to see that.
Thank you. I can send it. It's on my phone. So, remember, tolerators, you don't have to tolerate anything that is making you unhappy. That is including anything that traumatized you, anything that isn't in the best interest of your healing, and God damn it, especially anyone who is going to objectify you instead of appreciate your good work. Smiles are for joy, and joy only.
Woo woo!
Bye!
Yeah.
Love you!
Raise the hands!